Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Yes, I'll firstly run this PPT. That will see we have covered everything. PCF 2 elements right. We just and the location. Yesterday we have talked about the wizard strike. There are two types of widgets. One is the atomic widget, which will contain input, cell and button correct. And another is an input. Is this any text input, create field or anything? A button is a button and a cell is a specific information which we store right in a particular table. If this is the second and the third column second round, the third column will correspond to one cell. Cell is also an atomic widget, right? It is also building block of the PCF file. These are the atomic widgets. Apart from that, we have a second type of widget. Name is container widgets. Container widgets are the widgets which contains the atomic widgets. And there are different types of container widgets, right? We have just discussed yesterday detail view. We have not discussed input set yesterday. We'll discuss it today. We have discussed about list. We have discussed card view. We have discussed list detail view and the screen. Did we discuss list detail view? Did we discuss list detail view? I think tail view, list detail view. We have discussed these two topics separately. Well, I'll discuss this detail view brief today. And we have input set, right? This is also a type of container. What is the difference between input set and other types of detail view? Input set is also a container which will contain some information from one object. Suppose there is an object of A, B contact. If you want to display the columns of those objects, right, we will be using detail view. But if we don't want to show all the fields, we just want to see and show only one or two fields, right? If we want to create a smaller container, then in that case we will use input set. But input set specifically is used when that particular container is reused in multiple other PCF files. When there is a reusability concept, right, when we suppose there are two fields and these two fields we have to refer in multiple other PCF files. Suppose there is an address field. Is there a right address? Would have three lines of address. First would be the address line 1. Second would be address line 2. Third would be address line 3. Fourth would be the pin code. Fifth would be the state and then country. These 4 or 5 fields are combined together. They can be used in multiple other places, right, in multiple other screens. We have to create a one PCF file wherein we can refer that PCF file in multiple other places as well. Create these address fields as a detail view. Even then I can use it, right? Even then I can use multiple PCF files. I can create one PCF file. I can do that. I can do that as well. It's just a naming convention. What Guidewire is following. But there is some difference between detail view and input set also. Input set cannot be editable. It can. If we want to make it editable, we need to refer it to the detail view. And then we have to make that detail view editable. Then only the input set can be editable. But if you're creating a PCF file with the address information, is it just for the displaying of address, or will you be anything? It can be. If we want to make it editable, we can make it editable also. That user will enter the address and it will be. Then it has to be part of a detail view. Yes. We can also create an input set of the address. Suppose, I'll give you one example. There is one place where we need to make. There are two screens where the address fields are there. In the first screen, the address fields are uneditable. It is only for viewing purpose. But in the second screen, we don't want it for the viewing purpose only. It should be editable only. For the first screen, we can directly refer that input set. But in the second screen, we have to refer that input set in the detail view first. And in that detail view, we have to add the edit buttons. Then only that input set will be editable. That's the difference. We cannot add edit buttons directly to the input set. If we want our input set to be editable, it has to be referred to the detail view first. And then we can make it editable. That's a small difference, but ES Guidewire recommends. Suppose if we are not showing the complete information about the object right. If we have a couple of few fields. In that case, we will use address input set. But if we want to have a large number of fields displayed, right? For one particular entity in the screen, then we would be using detail views. In the guide, where this screen right. If you can see the screen when this is a combination of this to be in the detail. Why I'm saying? You can see here, if you will click on the first row, this details which are mentioned in the screen right. This side of the screen is related to this particular row, right? In the detail view format. If we'll click on this second row, this screen will change. If you'll click on the third row, this screen will change. In this case, the list view and the detail view are interrelated with each other based on the list view. Based on the rows of the list view, my detail view screen is changing right. If we have such type of combination right, we will use list detail view. And screen is a secondary container. Secondary container means, as we have already discussed, right? That screen, whenever we want to have an atomic widget, we do not. We cannot drag and drop it in the screen directly. It has to come from detail view, input set or the primary container. These are the primary containers: detail input, set list views, detail views, card view screen page. All these are the secondary containers. You can see the example of detail view list when input. Set here the address. Here we are referring. We might have created this input set somewhere in another PCF file and we are referencing it to the detail view. And detail views can be used for view and edit purposes. As well as list view can also be made as editable. An input set can also be made as editable. This is the input set, right? To make the input set editable, we need to reference it to the detail view. As you can see here, it's written here. Cannot have a toolbar. Directly associated with the toolbar means edit buttons. We cannot add edit buttons directly to the input set. And it cannot be referenced by the secondary views. This can only be referenced to the primary view, that is detail. These three are the primary views, right? List view detail. It can only be referred to here. It cannot be directly referred to the screen. If you want to refer an input set to the screen first, we have to refer it to the detail view. Then that detail view, we have to refer it to the screen. In secondary views, we have card view. List detail view is also a type of secondary view. Now there is a very minor difference between page screen. You might have understood, right? Or do you want me to explain it more? The page is the total. Yes, correct. The value on the top and all those things. Yes, yes. And summary is from just not the other sections on top bar, not the sidebar. Summary is just a page. If you can take a screenshot of this screen. Because this is very useful. This will summarize everything about the PCF file, how it can be referred. What is the hierarchy? Atomic widgets can be added directly to the input sets. It can be added directly to the detail. It can be added directly to the list view. These two are the primary containers. Our card view list. Detail and screen are the secondary containers, right? Because these cannot be directly added. Atomic widgets cannot be directly added to this. First, it needs to be added to the detail view or list view. Then that detail has to be added either to the screen or to the card view. This showed the hierarchy. And in interview, this gets asked a lot about the hierarchy that can be referred. The atomic widgets to the screen. What is the process if you want to add a button on the screen? How do we do that? We need to explain the entire process. These are the types of widgets what we have discussed. Apart from that, there is another PCF element. We call it as location. What location will give? What is the behavior of the location? Location is nothing, but it will be used for the navigation purpose from one page to another page in the application. Right. Suppose I will give you an example. In the sidebar, you can see, right, there are multiple options of multiple pages available. Let me debug my server that my application will be started. Let my server get started. But you can imagine getting started, right? You can imagine the location in the sidebar. You can see, right, there are multiple pages, that summary pages, the contact page, account page, address page. All those are in the sidebar. You will get all the list right. You will click on the summary page. You will get all the summary details. Click on the contact. You will get all the contact information right. That particular list which we see in the side of the screen, right, that we call it as location group. And the PCF file which contains this location group has to be suffixed by LG. LG means location. Location group. Yes, here we can search with if we have any LG or not. We'll search for LG PCF. And we will create ** and the PCF means anything and LG PCF. We'll see. For AB contact, what do we have? Or do we have any personnel? We have AB contact. You can see here the number of screens, summary screen, person details, being company details, place details, addresses. All these screens we can see in the sidebar. If you want to add any new screen, right, what we have to do is similarly to this. We have to I'll just do one thing. I'll copy this and I'll paste it here, and here I'll give the PCF file name which I wanted to be shown here. And I'll pass on the parameter. Here in the parameter, we have to give the required variable. I'll show. I'll delete this one. Let's suppose I take an example of this, the first summary page. Right here in the location, this is the PCF file name of that particular page. I'll copy this. And this is AB contact summary page you can see here. Summary, this is the location group. Summary details, addresses, notice, social media analysis. This is the location group and it is used for the navigation because you can navigate from one page to another page using this. That's our location group is used. Then we have a page. Page is something which we have to use inside the location group, right? You already know about the page. We can have multiple references to other screen sites like you have search here. All these, you can see all these references. Another one is wizard. What? This is the important one, wizard. Wizard is something which we will have some requirement of this. If you have some functionality right where we will have a sequence of the screens. For example, when you are creating an account, while creating an account, you will have certain set of screens, right? You in the first screen, you have to give your personal details like name, email ID, personal phone number, all this stuff, right? Then you will click on the next button on the next page. Then you will be landed in the next page. And then you have to give the details of your N card, your civil, all those stuff. And other card number, give details, right? And then you will click on the next button. After you click on the next one, you will land on the third page, in which you have to upload your photograph, upload your documents, and then you can click on the finish button or finish button. When you click on the finish button, it will create an account. If you have such type of functionality, wherein you will be navigating through a sequence of the screens, right? For those functionality, we will use wizards. Arts is nothing, but when we create these arts, it will have a set of screens which will have next or previous or finish button at top of it. I'll show you in Claim Center. What is the use of wizard? Where the wizards are used? In Claim Center, wizards are used for creating a first notice of loss. When we create a new right, our first screen is we need to provide the policy number. We need to first. We'll add. The customer service representative will ask the claimant right. What was your policy number? It will feed in the policy number and second screen would be the details of loss. This is common for the claims. Does this come as a out of the box? Yes, this comes under the out of the box functionality and we can customize that according to the client requirement. if you want to add a new field or remove a new field. According to that, this comes under the out of the box. If you want to add a new screen to the wizard, you want to add a new step, we can add that. If you want to delete any step, we can do that. All those customizations can be done from here. Let me show you the example of a wizard here. I don't think we will have any much example from the training app. But do you have the claim center set up already? No, they haven't provided me yet. I will have to check with them for the claim setup also. There is a training app. There is one. That import wizard is the right. Suppose if you want to import something, some data, right? It is a set of two screens which we have. First is the upload screen. And second is the conflict resolution screen. Suppose we have uploaded it in. When we click on the next button, some conflicts have been arised. Right. This wizard is a combination of these two screens. Can I find out where this particular wizard is being used in other? Yes, you can find out that. Here you can see import wizard. Is there right? Import wizard. To find out this, what you have to give us Ctrl+Shift+F import wizard. You can Ctrl+Shift+F will find all the usages of this particular PCF file, right? You have to check one by one. You can check where I am using this. Where I am defining it, referencing it. For that, we need to check here. There are many places. It will take time to figure out. If I want to see this in UI, I just want to see. In the UI import data info, right? If I go to the admin, suppose I need to import some data, right? I'll do it from the administration. I'll go to the utilities. There is one page import data. You can see here. You can from in the first screen, you can browse the file which you want to import. And then you have to click on the next button. You can see next button. You can see the button or previous button has already been. It is already added here. If you want to see the PCF file related to it, you can do Alt+Shift+W. It will show you the PCF file. You can see the import wizard there. Right, and this import wizard is using utilities PCF. Let me go to Ctrl+C and I'll check for utilities. The import wizard is part of utility PCF. Yes, correct. You can see. From the field, go back, sorry. You can see the utility, right? This is the location group, right? It has these many screens. I can see this in the location group. This is the file name, is U. This is the file type location group. These are the many screens which we have. That's how this is one example from the training app. But if you want from Claim Center, the example is when we create an FNR, we have a set of screens. We'll be using wizards. If you want to create a new screen, right, what we'll do? We'll just add a wizard step here. And in the first, we have to get the ID. Suppose here's some ID. Is there right if you want to give some? If you want to have it in the second place, I'll give some ID custom. And then I have to give the screen name which I need to refer the PCF file of the screen. I have not created any. Shall I give this one? I have to give the screen name. I use the screen which we have used here. A weak contact summary. I'll give this. But maybe contact somebody's screen. I'll search for some of the screen. We contact detail screen. But here I need to give the required variable also, right? I need to give the required variables in the parameters. Blank screen. I'll give blank screen. For sake of simplicity. Event title would be blank screen. Double quote. I'll save it. And I'll do Ctrl or Shift in. Well, let me do one thing. I'll make it a first step. First step, now it will appear in the very first step only. You can see I got this blank screen here. But then did you not give the ID as blank screen? I can give any ID, right? But save it. And then you go to the page, it still shows. Import something or this is not that ID. You are saying that that would be a title. The title. It would. This is the wizard. If you want to change it, you have to change it in the utilities. Right from here. The label this property because you are checking this. You are checking this right here. It should be blank screen, right? This is coming from utility.pcf file. Utility.pcf file, in the file you have to change the label. Blank screen, you have to add the blank screen here. Then only it will be. I'll remove this. This is a high level on the wizard and this comes with the out-of-the-box application for FNOL and we can customize it according to the client requirement. Similarly, after wizard we have pop-ups. What does pop-ups shows? I'll give you one example from the training app itself. In generic, can you tell me what do you understand by pop-ups? If you want to display some additional information or take an input from the user? Yes, pop-up is something which you cannot, which will appear on top of the screen right on the website. Also, if we block the pop-up right, if something is coming in the top of the back-end screen, we call it as a pop-up. Pop-up as in, it will prompt us for some action, right? When the pop-up will appear, it will have some action on it. When we will click on the screen, it will go back to the previous. Right. That's when we have similar type of functionality in the guide where we use the concept of pop-up. Like for example, see here. If we click on the edit button, cannot hear. This is also not a pop-up. I'm searching for how I can show you. I mean, that's why I can understand the concept. Yes, you can assume that. You just want to make sure that the user gives an input to come. Yes, he wants to do that. Correct. But still, let me check whether we have anything in the training app or not. Well, I think we can. Yes, this is an example of pop-up. When you click on the Action tab and you want to click a new person. New person means you are creating a new object of the person. When you're clicking on a new person, you can see that you have this editable screen, right? You have to provide this information, and if you click on the button or cancel button, it will take you back to the previous screen on you. You can see here there is a screen. Return to addresses means it will take us back to the previous screen once we update this. This is an example of pop-up in Guidewire. As soon as we click on button, it will take us to the address from where we started. And if you want to see the pop-ups from here, it will be coming in and popup.pcf. We have multiple type of pop-ups, maybe contact detail pop-up. If you want to see this pop-up new person, pop-up right. New person pop-up, Ctrl-Shift-N. Is there not any contact pop-up? Any contact search, any contact detail pop-up? No, it's not that. We need to check now here. I'll check it with using Alt-Shift-W. New contact pop-up. I'll search it here. This one. It's just a PCF file. By defining it as pop-up. Or is there any special configuration? There is a special configuration for it, suppose. What is the speciality of this? Once you define something as pop-up, right, it will have this section for the link to the previous screen. Otherwise, for normal PCF file, it will not have the link to the previous screen. And if you are done with saving the data on this particular PCF file, right, it will automatically direct you to the previous screen. But if you will save the data in the detail view, right, it will not take you to the previous screen automatically. Right? That's the difference. If we have some such type of requirement, we use pop-ups. Otherwise, we can use normal primary containers. It's a small difference. Generally, we in the real-time projects, we don't create new pop-ups actually. The client doesn't have much of the requirement on creating new pop-up or something. What we'll do is we'll just create the detail views. And if there is a customization from the already present pop-ups, right, we can do the customizations. I do not remember any requirement till now. Right. Where we are adding a new pop-up. It's very less. It's very rare. Moving next. We have worked about the pop-up now. We'll talk about this worksheet later because I don't want to just talk about it. I want to show it. We'll take a note of it that we have for worksheet we have still pending and we'll be covering it when we'll be covering the claim center. When we'll be covering the claim center function. Right. During that, we'll discuss about the worksheet because we have in Game Center, we have many examples of worksheet means for activities generation, right? When we create an activity, it is created in a worksheet. Now forward. Forward is something if you want to just go from one screen to other screen, right? Using a link. Suppose if you want to add a link. Right, and we just want to add a text here in the screen and that text will take us to some different screen in the My application. We will mention it as a forward because whatever we are talking about here, right, these locations, some location will help us navigating throughout the application. You can see a location group is also for the navigating applications. Wizard is also going from taking us from one screen to another screen, right, with the next and previous buttons. Pop-up is also helping us to navigate to the page, and then when we are saving the data, it will navigate to the previous page automatically. Right. These are the navigation options. And exit point is something, suppose if we want to have integration. Suppose there is a button inside this. Inside this application, there is a button that Open Claim Center. See this contact, supposing the summary. We are seeing the contact here, right? That contact is having a name, all these information. This contact might be present in Claim Center also. That can be a chance. There might be a button where we would be writing that sees this contact in the Claim Center. When we click on this button, it will take us to the Claim Center screen. If we have such kind of requirements wherein we are leaving our application and we are going to the different application screen, then that is when configure the exit points. These are the high level. Forward is kind of going to a different page in the same application. But it is correct. Correct. Exit point is exiting the current application and opening the page of different application. We have few examples of forward in the application the claim center also. When we are going through the claim center application, right, we can see all those examples there. Any questions up to here if you have? Otherwise, we'll go forward and to create a detailed view. PCA file which we are creating. Write the dragon for PCA file. You could see automatically a text file, for it would already be generated. When you have to check in the code, right? When you have to check in the code in the gate, you will be checking in this XML file. You might have a question that how you will check in this particular PCA file, right? You don't have to check in this particular PCA file in the backend. This PCA file, there is a text content which is already created automatically. You need to check in this text file, automatically created text file. JIT will be integrated with this IDE. Yes, it is automatically integrated. If it's automatically integrated, then I don't have to check in specifically. We need to install JIT here, and from version control here, right, we will be able to see the JIT. But when you try to check in, it will directly check in the text, right? It will not check in the page configuration. Yes, it will check in the text. I don't do anything specifically to know. No. If you will see this file in a folder structure. Let me open this file in the folder structure. If we'll just open this file right like this, open with some editor notepad. It will be opened as XML file. This is just an XML file only, but if you will open it in the studio, it will appear. You like this. Drag and drop it. Great. We have covered everything, and there are certain commands, right, which we have discussed yesterday, and enable internal or all Shift U or Shift L or Shift E. These all the commands will be working when we'll have this. Enable internal debug tools as to in the config. We will have this parameter where we can mark us to enable internal debug tools on fix on XML console. I'll search for internal debug tools is true. To make all these shortcut commands working, we need to add this. And DCVM should be installed. That's why I made you install the DCVM. I mean, even for the claim center, it's the same case. Yes, as you have already installed the DCVM, right? You don't do it over and over again while installing claim center. For claim center, what you need to do is you will get a zip file. You just need to extract that zip file and start the claim center studio. That's it. Because all the backend configuration is already done by DCVM installation, Java installation and path setup, everything has been done right. And it's same for claim center also. That's why this is a generic training. It will apply to all the sectors. If you want to create a new PCA file, there might be a question which might be hovering around with you that how to create these type of PCA files. We have seen many type of PCA file like list, view, video, news. If you go to the PCA section, If suppose I need to create something in the contact, some PCA file for the contact, I'll go to the contact. And suppose some basic PCA file to create. I click on the package, right click PCA file, and then from here I can choose the type of the PCA file. Suppose I want to create a detail view. Or suppose, let's say I want to create an input set. Set. I'll mark as a B contact custom input set. I'll create it. Here suppose I need to give some variable. What variable I should give here? I'll give an AB contact and we are just defining the variable here which will be using inside the PCA file. And we will add this input set, you will be using that. Whatever variables you the ID, is that what it is? No, not the ID. In this variable is something suppose we'll be using throughout of an input set to refer our data. We are creating a B contact input set, right? When this PCA file is related to a B contact entity, that's in the required variables because we might be using this object to refer the columns of the A B contact, right? Multiple objects defined. Yes. We can define multiple objects as well. Got. Basically, that required variable is kind of like you're telling which entity it needs to read the data from. Yes, correct. Let me take an input. I'll put a text input. Text input. Again, I'll make it as custom or let me check in the contact dot. Nickname. We have added this text input, right? Name your nickname yesterday. I'll give nickname. That is nickname. Input and label is nickname. We have created this input set. Let me create another one more field, date field. Let me check which date I will pick an AB contact dot. Last legal case reported. I have edited it column. Last legal case reported. I feel this. Now my input set is ready. Now I cannot use this input set directly, right? I cannot refer it directly to the secondary container. First, I need to refer it to the primary container. Correct. Suppose I want to show it this in the screen. Right? If I want to show this in the screen first, I'll check. Is there? Do I have any already existing detail view? I have this detail view, right? I try to refer this input set in this detail view. How I need to refer the input set is, I will use input set ref. Input set ref, I drag and drop the input set ref at the down. I got this input set ref, and in the definition of this input set ref, I need to give the name of the input set which I need to refer, a B contact. Input set in argument. I have to give the object which we have. I have defined it in the required variables here, right? If I have defined two required variables, I have to give that in the argument. You can see here also, in this PCF file also, there is one required variable and with this object name. I will do the same name here. It's like a method for link. We are calling that PCF file. Input set PCF file with this particular parameter. That's it. You can see here my input set has been mentioned here. I'll save it. Now, if I want to see the changes, what I will do, I'll shift L sorry. What is the new thing which we have seen here is we have to use input set ref to refer an input set to the detail view. You can see after the primary address, I got this input set here, name lastly reported. To separate it out, you can have an input divider also. It will. It is a line which will separate. That's how it is. If I click on edit, it is not editable because the table is false for this. I need to make editable as true. How I can do that? I will go to the input set. I have for each visit. I need to make it equal to true. And even for the editable, once you are making this editable equal to true, wherever I'm referring this input set, it will be editable there, right? Yes. And you can see we have referred it in this TV, right? It will be editable or shifted. Cancel it or shift it. It is already there. You can give the values and receive the DB. That's how the input set is referred using easy. Set. In input, you gave ID, right? In the beginning, we call that. Yes, we have given the name of the, not the ID, the file name of the PC file name, right? Yes, PC file with whatever required fields. Correct. Object of the required fields. Correct. And if you want to, this is the reference part. If you want to refer a detail, in a secondary container, right? For referencing detail. And here we are referencing input set, right? If you want to reference detail view or DB to secondary view, right? We do it using panel ref. You have to use panel ref. You can see here. Panel ref. The panel ref is here and same thing. You need to give the PCF file name. If I want to refer a list type, suppose this is the DB, right, which is already referred in this page. I will see. You can see here panel ref, right? If I click on the panel ref, you can see that. Just a second. Here you can see here this detail is referred to the card. CV detail is referred to the CV. They have used panel ref here. You can see in the after panel that they have given the dbpcf file name with the required variables. And you can see your input set also here. Why? Because we have referred that input set to this DB. And what if I want to just reference a type list type? List type. For that also we have to use panel ref. If you want to refer primary container to secondary container, we have to use panel ref. And at panel ref we have input set ref. That's all. Or is there any other reference like that? No, there are only two types of references. In the hierarchy, you could see right in the hierarchy there was If you'll see this hierarchy, this one, the card, you can also be referred to the screen right. This can also be referred to the panel ref. Only input set is different because it is uneditable, right? That can only be referred in detail. Yes, it can only be referred in detail. I think we are done for the today's session. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.